Wintertime, we process the tubers and get them ready for what's going to go on in the spring. A lot of the lilies that are in the collection that are tropical will not make it through the wintertime. And it's okay because we don't need all of those anyway. Some of those are not really the best lilies. The best ones will be in the show in the springtime. And we put those in about March or between March and June. And they will be there and they will go through the season. The hardy lilies will be back in March. That's in the big basin. Those water lilies will come back, and they're perennial, they'll come back from the cold weather. But they all have to be replanted and dug and worked over. We will clean the big primary basin. The Parks Department and myself and our groups will clean that in February or in March. The water temperature right now is running at 38 degrees. So we don't allow any employees in the water, and I myself, if hypothermia gets you, you may not even make it out of the water, so we don't do that. We let the algae grow, and that helps bed the plants that are there. It helps them keep a little warmer than they normally would. But right now the water is super cold. Now as the temperature rises and the temperature gets into the 50s, the hardies will begin to come out and come back. By 60 degrees they'll be blooming. So you can figure that, but as far as where they stay in the primary or the big basin. All the other basins, the water lilies have to be changed out and redone. The water that's used in the pools is city water, but the chlorine is out because we let it go in at a very slow rate. I cannot use any chemicals of any kind in the water because all of the water goes back into the river and will be drinking water for somebody eventually if it goes through the water plant. So we don't use any caustic chemicals. We don't dye the water. The dye that we use in the summertime is a vegetable dye, so it doesn't hurt anybody anyway. But we don't dye the water because it's too expensive to dye it in the wintertime when nobody's coming to the collection. There's about two and a half months that not many people come to the collection due to the fact of the cold weather, and it's not tropical. The vegetable dye that we put in the pools makes the water black. The water is black so that the public can get a good picture, so that we also don't have the algae form that we don't want, that we do have now that we don't want. And also so that if somebody comes, it's a public park, and if they throw a beer can in there and then there's something else and it goes to the bottom, no one can see it until we find it later on. But it's all for aesthetics. People in the business, in the aquatic business, always dye the water because it makes it look the best, unless they have fish that they want people to see. The fish that we have here are gambusias, and it's complete biological control so that we don't have any Zika virus, we don't have any kind of a West Nile virus, anything like that. We make sure that that doesn't happen here. The fish take out, well, the little gambusias take out the mosquito larvae. They also take out the any kind of an insect that comes in here, like we have a worm that comes, and it's called it gets into the stems and into the lilies, and it's called a China mark moth. And when they're little juveniles, they'll eat them too, which is good because we do have insects that feed on water lilies expressly. So in that case, we have the little fish that kind of help us out. We also have other fish that sometimes we use in the greenhouses to keep the plants not being taken out by snails or things like that. But you have to have that going all the time.
Yes, sir.
So the water in the greenhouses, in my greenhouses, which are more extensive than the cities, the city has 2 little greenhouses that we use in the compound over at the Parks Department. That's city water, but it's put in gradually, or we let the chlorine drive out, or we put an anti-chlorine to get it out of there, so that we don't have it chlorinated. You can't have chlorinated water. But my water at my well water, so I don't worry about anything. It comes out of the ground about 55 degrees. It's kind of cold, but it warms up and it's okay, you know. Well, that's happened. There was times when we weren't watching, and there was water when we had different sprinkler systems here. If the chlorinated water gets on the plants, it will kill them. They will die. There's not enough microbiome. Now what will happen is when we fill the big pool back up, there's enough microbiotic material in there that they won't die. But generally, if you take a water lily per se and put it in a chlorinated tank and it's just straight out of the faucet, the lily will, good chance it will die, just like your fish would die from the pet store. So you don't want the chlorine in there. It needs to be aged water. It takes about 72 hours in normal tropical weather for the chlorine to get out of any body of water, and then it's okay to use. The greenhouses are the same way. If we clean out a tank, then we don't, and fill it full of chlorinated water, then we wait a while for it to go, or you can put a chlorine, a chemical that will take the chlorine out, or the chloramines out of the water. You can use it right away then. But for the big pool, is 70,000 gallons, we don't spend the money to try to do that. We just wait for it to get out of there. New species lilies or water lilies, yeah, we do that. We're probably about the only ones that do that anymore, because I'm the president and owner of the International Water Lily Preservation Repository. In that case, we go to, if we can, and we have the legals to go there, we'll go bring some plants back that are maybe unseen here in San Angelo or in the nation. We're known for that because it's an international collection. We had the International Water Lily and Water Gardening Society here last year, and that society is an international society. I think they're going to go to France this year. But the thing of it is, we have lilies, and a lot of them wanted to get into the pools and see the lilies at first hand, and they did. They got to see things that they can't see anywhere else. We've got some of the last of their kind here in the collection, the Zanzibars and some of the other lilies like that. And they don't exist in their countries of origin. They're extinct in nature. If they're extinct in nature, then you don't have them, you know. The primary lilies that we're trying to get are out of Zimbabwe, Africa, and it's a yellow lily. It's a species lily, only of two types that are the only yellow left in the tropical gene pool. So we would like to get some of that stuff if we can get that out of here. Should we be able to and go through the legal process to get them out of there? And we have several people working on that in different other countries too, trying to get the materials. We will show it here at the collection and make a point that everybody can come and see it if they want to come see. A lot of the lilies here are endangered, and they're almost gone. They're not there anymore. So an encroaching population and then things like that, you know, that things happen. So we want to try to keep some of this stuff for the posterity that's coming online so that they can see it, the real thing maybe, and not just a picture of a book of what it used to be.